What is happening, guys? Call of Duty Black Ops Kid here, coming at you with some very interesting videos today. We're going to be talking about everything we know about the PlayStation 5. Now, the PlayStation 5 has been fully unveiled with multiple system stuff, charging station, Bluetooth headphones, remotes, new camera, a discless PS5, a disc PS5, and much more. So let's talk about some of the specs on the PlayStation 5, and we'll get into a bunch of other stuff going inside the PlayStation 5, as well as the release date and much more. So the PlayStation was finally unveiled on June 11th of 2020 with a bunch of specs and everything else like that. 4K Blu-ray disc drive, slimmer discless version that is digital only, and Type-C charging for their controllers, HD camera accessory, along with a wireless headset and media remote for whatever reason. A striking design that looks like Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Wi-Fi router, whatever you think. And the UI for the PlayStation 5 is getting a 100% overhaul and is going to look pretty much nothing like the PlayStation 4, according to the lead director. Sony has officially confirmed the PS5 is having a release date of December of 2020, which is obviously the leak, along with Xbox One and PS5, is November 20th of 2020. It is not 100% confirmed, most likely going to be that way. Sony hasn't officially announced the PS5's price, but there is something that we know about with all the leak specs and everything that we know about the PlayStation 5, that we can kind of assume some of the specs and cost of the PS5. One rumor suggesting how much the PlayStation 5 costs to manufacture was about $479, and most console companies don't make much money off their consoles. Some might say that it might cost $499 for the discless version, and $100 more for the disc version. So maybe $499 for the discless, $599 for the disc. We are working with pretty beefy specs, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. So it's most likely common that we will have some more expensive hardware compared to last generation. Last generation did have some pretty beefy horsepower, I guess, in certain attributes, but there is a lot to manufacture when you look at it. The new DualSense controller is upgraded. The new camera is upgraded. You know, depending on what kind of system you get, we're looking at some pretty expensive hardware. And so this is all speculation, but anywhere in the skepticism of $499 to $599. Now let's talk about the PS5 specs. The CPU is an AMD Zen 2 based CPU with 8 cores at 3.5 gigahertz. We do have a GPU at 10.28 teraflops, 36 CUDA cores at 2.23 gigahertz at variable frequencies. PS5 beats whatever the highest end GPU that AMD has at 10.28 teraflops. The 5700 XT, which almost beats the 2070 Super, is 9.8 teraflops. So that's quite a huge improvement for the PS5. The main thing games will be running on is GPU and CPU. Take a look at that when we talk about the Xbox One specs on next episode, and we'll be comparing that to the Xbox sooner the next day after. So make sure, if you want to see those videos, subscribe and hit the notification bell. We also have a memory interface of 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory at 256-bit bus. The memory bandwidth is 448 gigabytes per second, which is pretty insane. The internal storage is a custom 825 gigabyte SSD. Whether or not they're already accounting for the 1 terabyte or not is completely up in the air. If the UI in the PS5 totally takes up 175 gigabytes, that might be a problem for people that are trying to download any games at all, considering this generation's very large files and not going to be able to play. I/O through raw output is 5.5 gigabytes per second raw, and a typical 8 to 9 gigabytes compressed output, which is pretty good. People are boasting just because the PS5 has a custom SSD, it makes it faster than every other thing. Yes, it makes games load faster, but it has nothing to do with how games run. So just because it has a better SSD does not mean that the Xbox Series X is going to be outperforming because it has a better GPU and CPU. So obviously people are going to be crazy about me for saying that. Console wars are over, everybody. So who cares? It, of course, has an expandable storage of an NVMe SSD slot. You do have USB HDD support for PS4 games only, just like the Xbox Series X. The optical drive is a 4K UHD Blu-ray drive, and you do have an expandable storage for an NVMe SSD slot for your PlayStation 5, just like the Xbox Series X. So that's really good. You know, obviously a lot of people are really looking forward to the next generation of consoles. That's really good specs, and it has a lot of crazy things going on for PlayStation 5. It's almost doubling the performance of the PlayStation 4 Pro, which is some people care about performance, especially if they're going to be dumping almost $600 into a console. They definitely want the best bang for their buck. Backwards compatibility as well is something that people have been talking about. They've been saying that it's all PS4 games, but they just started announcing that all games that are made now have to be backwards compatible with PS5. So it's not fully backwards compatible. It's only PS4, and some people are worried. Some people don't even care. Honestly, I could care less whether or not if it's fully backwards compatible or not, because I have all the other systems. The PS3 like OG could backwards compatible with PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 games. So some people don't even care. Some people do care. Like myself, it would be nice to be able to play all the games. But the Xbox Series X isn't even doing that. So I guess we'll talk about the PlayStation 5 controller now. They're dubbing the DualSense controller. It's a departure from the black and white theme, although there is a black model coming out, which we'll talk about towards the end of the video. It's a two-tone, 4 buttons, you know, the cross button, all that good stuff. It does have a bigger center button for a lot of other games. It does have a share button and a start button, just like the original PlayStation 4. It is a little bigger, as far as I'm aware. It is bigger than the Xbox Series X controller. So that's one thing that people are kind of happy about, because in my personal opinion, my hands are big. The PlayStation 4 controller is just too small. The SCUF gaming controller was actually something that was actually in the range of how comfortable for me to play. So they did increase the size and make it look more like an Xbox controller. Not to say that, but the Xbox controllers have been more elite for the last couple of years. So there is a big improvement when it comes down to that. There is a built-in mic tension triggers, so if the game is outputting something for you to mash LT and RT, or the fire and aim buttons, they do feel like they're harder to press down, which controllers have had somewhat of that, the tension triggers to help with shooting and stuff like that, and haptic feedback, rumbles also inside of the triggers again, and the share and create button are also on there as well. So yes, they're pretty cool. There is going to be a black Sony console with the controller exclusively as well that is pre-ordered. Whether or not that's with the console, launch of the console or not, we're not exactly sure. And I guess now what we'll be talking about is some of the games that were announced for PS5. Some of the things, the best exclusives compared to Xbox. They did show off Resident Evil 8, although it's not a PS5 exclusive. It does look sick, and I'm excited to see that. Bethesda had a game that was exclusive to it. It was called Deathloop, which didn't... There was a lot of games for the PS5 that were either coming out exclusive or coming out with it that kind of just didn't look like it was taking advantage of PS5's full potential. And not until towards the end of the life cycle that any of the games really kind of took advantage of that, especially... Well, PS5 or PS4 did, but not necessarily Xbox Series X or Xbox One games. Well, okay, kind of took advantage of it, but not fully in certain ways. So Horizon Zero Dawn's getting a sequel called Horizon Forbidden West, and it's supposed to be launching around the same time as the consoles. So obviously that's good news. There's a Sony Spider-Man game that's coming out with the consoles as well, which is having its own black PS5 as well as custom controller as well. It's called Spider-Man Miles Morales. They said it's not necessarily they're a brand new game. It's more like a DLC, they've said. It's in another open world title, and it's pretty much taking everything. Demon's Souls, which is my hypest thing at the event, which looks amazing. A remake of the original Demon's Souls for the PlayStation 3 finally had a reveal. Ratchet and Clank Oddworld Soulstorm got a big reveal as a PS4 and PS5 launch title. Gran Turismo finally is coming back with an enhancement in the best graphics, best looking graphics I've ever seen in a racing game. Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming for PS5, which, okay. There was another game that really blew me away that it looked really awesome. It's definitely on my radar. Some people didn't give it the limelight, and most people didn't even put it in some of their PS5 things. It was this game called Little Devil Inside. It looked like it was a Souls-like Dragon's Dogma, and I think that game deserves more hype than it was because no one ever highlighted this game. And I thought that was like the coolest thing ever, honestly. There was a lot of third-party launch titles that didn't make an appearance. There was some 3D audio stuff as well shown at the showcase, but there wasn't really much showing. Some people are already talking about a PS5 Pro that competes with the Xbox Series X. That's probably a possibility. Whether or not it comes out with the launch of the PS5, I highly doubt. Maybe it's 6 to 8 months after the PS5. Who knows exactly what's going on? Yeah, that's it. That's everything we know about the PlayStation 5 so far. What was just some of your biggest reveals at the PS5 event? What are you guys going to be getting? Are you getting the white PlayStation 5? Are you getting the black PlayStation 5? Are you getting the Miles Morales edition? Let me know what you guys are doing in the comment section below. Make sure you guys like the video. Subscribe for more videos like this in the future. We're going to be doing an Xbox Series X, everything we know, and a comparison between the consoles and seeing which one stacks up the best. So make sure you guys don't want to miss that and subscribe for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.